On the news, federal government and the United Arab Emirates signed deal to eliminate double taxation. Minister of Defense condemns crowdfunding for kidnapped victims. And court grants Emefiele permission to travel out of FCT. Many thanks for joining us on News Now on TV 360. I'm Tamilore Akinkwole. President Bola Tinubu has sanctioned 3 resolutions of the Federal Executive Council aimed at strengthening the health and social welfare sector for a better service delivery to Nigerians. Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare Ali Pate said the resolutions are targeted at relieving the escalating cost of pharmaceuticals, funding of health sector regulatory bodies, and mitigating the human resource flight in the sector. Our correspondent Comfort Samuel gives more details in this next report.
It is the first Federal Executive Council meeting in 2024, and part of the agenda is to find a lasting solution to the challenges of insecurity, double taxation, hike in pharmaceutical products, among others, which prompted key decisions taken. Highlighting some of the top events at the meeting, Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi says the federal government has approved a new taxation deal with the United Arab Emirates that aims to address the issues of double taxation between the two countries, as this will help Nigerian industries and encourage the flow of foreign direct investment.
Because of the effect of this cooperation, or the benefits that will accrue to Nigeria, the Council agreed and directed that the agreement that had been signed already should be taken further by mandating, authorizing the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice to prepare a bill along this line to take to the National Assembly for ratification. The effect of this is that it has ceased to be an ordinary agreement, but an agreement between two countries.
The Minister of Health, Ali Pate, says the guiding principles of President Tinubu administration is the Renewed Hope agenda, which puts human capital, health and social welfare of Nigerians at the center.
The funding of the healthcare regulatory bodies, given the centrality of health regulation to protect the health and well-being of Nigerians. The regulators of health professionals, Medical and Dental Council, Pharmaceutical Council, Community Health Practitioners, Laboratory Science, all those regulators to ensure they are properly funded. Mr. President directed that they should continue to receive the funding that they had been receiving in the past, so that there is an exception relative to other professional associations that are not healthcare regulatory bodies.
On his part, the Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, Tunji Alausa, speaks to the issue of hike in drugs, which he says the federal government is taking drastic measures to end the long sufferings of Nigerians in the hands of multinational pharmaceutical companies.
The President wants immediate succor to Nigerians with regards to this high cost of pharmaceuticals and lack of essential drugs in the pharmacy. That's of paramount importance to the President. He wants this resolved immediately. So what the President has mandated us to do is mandated the Health Ministry to work with Attorney General to come up with executive orders that will tackle this. So some of these levies will be removed very, very quickly.
The Minister reiterates his commitment to bring succor to Nigerians through the health sector. Comfort Samuel, TV 360 News, Lagos.
The Minister of Defense, Muhammad Madaru, has strongly condemned the practice of crowdfunding for victims of kidnapping during a briefing with State House correspondent after a Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Tinubu. Addressing concerns about the recent surge in kidnappings in the Federal Capital Territory, Madaru explained that concerted efforts were underway by security agencies to address the situation. In response to the issue of crowdfunding for ransom payment, the minister reminded the public of existing laws that prohibit such payment. He expressed concerns over people resorting to the internet and radio to seek donations for ransom payment, saying that this approach worsens the problem rather than solving it. Badaru emphasized the need to stop ransom payment, saying that the financial incentive is removed, kidnappings will become less profitable and eventually cease.
We all know that there is existing law that prevent payment of ransom. So it is very sad for people to go over the internet, radio, asking for donation to pay ransom. This will only worsen the situation. It will not help the situation at all, as you have seen. Initially, they asked for, I think, 60 million. And now, because of this funding that they learned, somebody has raised 50 million already through friends and media. They jack off the ransom. We believe we have to stop, as painful as it is. We have to stop responding to payment of ransom. If we stop, over time, the kidnapping will not be profitable and they will stop. It's not easy though, but that is the rule that you all know. So we want to call in the people to please manage kidnapping situation very intelligently and very quietly.
React to the condemnation of crowdfunding for kidnapped victims by the Minister of Defense. I am now being joined by security expert and former director of the Department of State Services, Dennis Amakri. Thank you for joining us. Now, how come the government is not doing enough to dissuade citizens from paying ransom to kidnappers if the country has a law already forbidding it?
Well, you know, I'm very amused from what the Minister of Defense is saying. It shows that, you know, he's shirking his responsibility, you know, to secure or safeguard people of this country. Because he cannot come and tell people not to pay. Yes, I agree with him that it's unproductive because the more you pay to them, the more they use the money to do whatever they want to do. But saying that it is illegal is a catch-22 situation where you are now telling people that who are distressed, who are very, very frustrated that their children or their wives or their family members are in detention, taken hostage, and those hostages should remain there while we don't have any proper measure from government to release them. How many hostages, kidnapped hostages, have been released by government? I know a lot have been released, but how long did it take? You know, how long did it take? So, coming to say this, I think is short by half, because there are things that government can do to make sure that kidnapping stops. And those things are not done. It is not telling people that they should not pay ransom.
All right. Now, so what measures or alternative strategies do you suggest for addressing the issues of kidnapping without resorting to crowdfunding for ransom payment?
Many suggestions have been made by security professionals. And then, of course, number one, you have to strengthen the security agencies and the police. You have to make kidnapping not a favorable venture. And when you strengthen the DSS and the police to have special hostage rescue teams, I learned that the Inspector General has just got SIS, Special Intervention Squad. That is fine, but how good are you training them? Because it is not just calling them by name. It's not calling them by name. How many attack helicopters do they have? Because if there is a hostage situation where they've kidnapped some people, within 10 minutes, we want that helicopter to be in the air, pursuing these people and getting them, instead of allowing them to go, they go and relax and then start making phone calls and asking for people to pay money. How good are we tracking the telephones? How good are we tracking the telephones? Because you need to track that telephone to make sure that if you miss them in the first instance, then through the telephone, you should be able to locate them. And then, of course, isolate them and release the hostages. We don't want collateral damages. That means they must be well trained. So there are a plethora of measures that can be taken by security agencies that can stop kidnapping.
All right, security expert and former Director, Department of State Services, Dennis Amakri, thank you for speaking with us. Moving on, Justice Amza Muazu of the Federal Capital Territory High Court has granted a request of the immediate past governor of the Central Bank, Godwin Emefiele, to travel outside the FCT. However, Emefiele is mandated to remain within the country. The court had initially restricted him to the FCT on bail terms, but Emefiele, through his lawyer, sought a variation of the terms, a request not objected to by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC counsel Rotimi Oyedepo. Oyedepo urged the court to ensure Emefiele rights an undertaking to stay in the country if granted the plea. The charges against the former CBN governor were also amended from 6 to 20, covering offenses such as criminal breach of trust, forgery, conspiracy to commit forgery, procurement fraud, and conspiracy to commit felony. In a bid to improve Nigeria's education sector, the Minister of State for Education, Yusuf Sununu, has announced a significant policy shift after the Federal Executive Council meeting. The minister said the FEC has accepted criteria for implementing transnational education, enabling Nigerian institutions to collaborate with foreign counterparts to offer education services within the country. Sununu emphasized that transnational education will attract foreign investment, provide employment opportunities, and minimize foreign exchange pressures on Nigerians studying abroad.
Effort of Mr. President to increase access to education with rising number of secondary school leavers who are seeking to be graduates or undergraduate in our tertiary institutions. The placement is becoming a serious issue, and therefore the ministry come up with a policy of transnational education. What it means is that exchange of cross-fertilization of idea and exchange that regards to education can be done across borders. The documents provide a guideline whereby a foreign institution can collaborate with a local institution within the country, or can even come and establish a campus within the country so that we can widen the access of placement in Nigeria. It will also permit us to increase access in terms of widening the scope of research that is going to be conducted within the country. And not only that, economically, the transnational education, when well established, would decrease the pressure on dollar as an exchange means to go out there and secure education. And based on this justification, we presented a note to the council, which is of the policy document that was developed by National University Commission under the supervision of the Federal Ministry of Education. And the council graciously notes the presentation of the document so that it can be implemented to increase access to tertiary education in Nigeria.
5 years after the signing of the National Disability Act into law by former President Muhammadu Buhari, concerns are mounting within the disability community regarding the elusive implementation and enforcement of the legislation. The Center for Citizens with Disabilities and Partners organized an event in Abuja to commemorate the 5th anniversary of the National Disability Act, where the founder of CCD, David Anyele, emphasized the importance of compliance to building an inclusive Nigeria. Disability champions at the event outlined various commitments aimed at ensuring maximum access for people with disabilities to mainstream services and facilities.
I'm aware that more than 19 states have passed the different versions of the Disability Act, at the state level, we can say that there's significant change in the quality of life of people with disabilities at the state level? Therefore, this week provides us an opportunity to review the journey so far and to ask ourselves the hard question: to what extent have we invested towards achieving the objective of the Act? In the principle of nothing about us without us.
We are very concerned about children with disabilities. We think the law, even this Disability Act, does not really address specifically the issue of children. We also think that the Child Rights Act does not address the issue of children with disabilities. So that's something that we're looking to amend, which is the Child Rights Act, and when we amend this act eventually. We're interested in women with disabilities. We're interested in the VAPA. That's the violence against two persons, for those who are familiar with that. And for the law enforcement folks here, we don't think that the penalty for a rapist that specifically target persons with disability, whether visually impaired or on a chair, we don't think the penalties should be the same.
We have hit the ground running in trying to see that we review our commitment in line with the 5 years moratorium now. We need to reflect back to see the area where we have gap and identify, came out with the policy we have marshaled out strategy. And there is presidential tax team will be launched in order to enforce compliance by this administration. The administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu is fully committed to make sure that persons with disability were brought on board in order to achieve the Renew Hope agenda.
We'll be taking a short break, but stay tuned as Nigeria's stock market ranks best globally, surpassing Argentina. Details coming up next.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
Wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Welcome back. A quick recap of our top stories. The federal government has approved a new taxation deal with the United Arab Emirates that aims to eliminate double taxation between the two countries. Attorney General and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi made this disclosure to State House correspondent on Wednesday after the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Bola Tinubu at the Presidential Villa. He also explained that the council has given the go-ahead for Nigeria's UAE double tax treaty to be forwarded to the National Assembly for ratification. We also told you that Justice Amza Muazu of the Federal Capital Territory High Court has granted a request of the immediate past governor of the Central Bank, Godwin Emefiele, to travel outside the FCT. However, Emefiele is mandated to remain within the country. The charges against the former CBN governor were also amended from 6 to 20, covering offences such as criminal breach to trust, forgery, conspiracy to commit forgery, procurement fraud, and conspiracy to commit felony. It's now time for business news. Let's join Okpeyemi Owosheni for the latest. Over to you, Okpe.
Thank you, Tamilore. Hello and welcome to Business News. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Development, Doris Anite, has highlighted key investments aimed at improving the business environment and fostering economic growth in Nigeria after the FEC meeting held on Wednesday. The minister said during the deliberations, the focus was on enhancing the business environment for manufacturers and industrialists by implementing measures such as removal of multiple taxation, levies, custom duties, and various fees imposed on businesses. In addition to these economic initiatives, the FEC approved the ratification of the Investment Promotion and Protection Agreement between Nigeria and the UAE. Anita confirmed that the already signed IPAA will be sent to the National Assembly for ratification.
As you recall, the priority of this government is to promote and protect local industries and manufacturers. And this will mean that we must do all that is necessary to remove all the roadblocks and bottlenecks impeding or impacting businesses. His Excellency, the President, has always reiterated that Nigeria is open for business and that there are no more roadblocks. We are removing and we've removed these roadblocks. And these roadblocks include multiple taxation, multiple levies, custom duties and various levies that are imposed on businesses, infrastructural decay, including power. As you recall, the President already set up the Presidential Council on Industrial Revitalization, as well as the Presidential Council on Fiscal Reform and Tax Policy Review. All of these two major councils were set up in the past. The Presidential Council on Industrial Revitalization was set up in October, and the Presidential Council on Fiscal Policy and Tax Review was set up in July 2023. We have been mandated and charged to come up with the resolution from those committees as quickly as possible. And when this is implemented, we expect to see more creation of jobs, drop in prices of goods and services, and a total revival of the economy.
We'll go on a short break and be back with Stock Market Report. Nigeria's stock market is now the world's best after Wednesday positive close helped the market to beat Argentina, a country which was trailing last week. The NGX all-share index rose by 2.38% on Wednesday, surpassing the 90,000 mark as bulls dominated trade. Now, Wednesday's positive close came as more investors bought shares of Guinness Nigeria, which reached maximum daily increase of 10%, and others like Wema Bank. Now, the market has risen this year by 20.45% amid a week-to-date rally of 8.45%. 0.3%. Now, the Nigerian equities market still maintained its positive streak on the fourth weekday of trading as it closed on a positive note, increasing by 2.04%. Now, in the aggregate, 123 NGX-listed equities participated in trading, ending on a negative note with 33 gainers against 42 losers. Now, Kono led the gainers with a 10% share appreciation, closing at 112 naira 20 kobo, followed closely by Itana, which closed at 20 naira 90 kobo. Now, at the end of today's trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange NGX, a total of 1.140 billion volumes of shares were exchanged in 17,804 deals, corresponding to a market value of over 19 billion were traded. Now, let's take a look at our Select Global Stock. Reverses the case for our Select Global Stock, as only the UK FTSE ended in a bullish trade at 0.0064%, leaving the US Dow Jones at 0.16% and Japan's Nikkei at 0.033% in a bearish trade. Well, that's it on Business and Stock Market Report. Back to you, Tamilore, for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Opeyemi. Now, on the global scene, Kenya court leader Paul Mackenzie and 94 others have been charged with terrorism charges linked to the death of 429 followers whose bodies were exhumed from the Sakaola forest. The charges, the first against Mackenzie, were announced in a Mombasa court. Mackenzie, head of the Good News International Church, allegedly ordered followers to starve themselves and their children to death for a perceived journey to heaven before the world end. The defendant, including Mackenzie, denied the charges and are set for a bond hearing on February the 8th. Authorities are also pursuing manslaughter and torture charges against them in connection with the deaths. Now, up next is Entertainment Report on News Now.
Nigerian singer Harry Song has responded to the controversial link chat between him and his wife, showing him demanding that she terminate her pregnancy. On Thursday, January 18, 2024, the singer took to his Instagram story requesting that the public grant his family privacy at this time. This comes after chats between him and his wife made rounds on social media, raking reactions from social media users. In the screenshot, Harry Song and his wife were seemingly in the heat of dispute, and he appeared adamant that she terminate her pregnancy, citing financial concerns and accusing her of neglecting household responsibilities. A skit maker, simply identified as Churchill, has reportedly died while shooting a skit. An eyewitness at a Snamo shared a video of the skit maker's last moment on his X account. In the video, which had gone viral, Churchill could be seen dropping his phone on the ground before proceeding to jump and touch the basketball net. He fell with his head hitting the ground and is reported to have died in the process. However, eyewitness at the basketball court tried to rescue him, but to no avail. He was reportedly rushed to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. And that's it on entertainment segment on News Now. Queen Ibaningo, TV3 City News, Lagos.
And finally, on sports, the host nation Ivory Coast is taking strategic measures to intimidate the Super Eagles in the ongoing AFCON 2023 Group A match at the stadium in Abidjan. The stadium is filled with fans, surpassing the previous record of 36,000 spectators during their victory over Guinea-Bissau. To further boost support, schools in Abidjan are closed and free transportation is provided to mobilize more supporters into the stadium. The Ivorians are keenly aware of the significance of this match and are leveraging their home field advantage to create an intimidating atmosphere for the Super Eagles. And that's all on our bulletin on TV 360. Many thanks for watching. I'm Tamilore Akinkwole. See you again next time.